don't tell your kids things to protect them. You're not protecting your kids. You're protecting you. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're protecting yourself from the shame or the guilt of making your kid feel bad or cry. You're not making them feel bad or cry. You're sharing a reality with them, and their reaction to it is to cry or to feel sad. But you're doing a disservice to them when you sugarcoat and you hide things from them. It's really placating your own ego. It's not placating them. They gonna figure this stuff out, and they gonna have to figure out how to deal, with not having their way and all these other things. You should be the one to teach them that. They're so much more resilient and stronger than you think that they are. And I'm learning that with my own daughter. It always works out best when I'm just like, hey, here's what the deal is. And she's like, all right, cool. I get it. I can move on. And it's like, oh, well, that was actually pretty easy. You may cry a little bit, but it's done. Mm-hmm. When you lie to them, it's effectively what you're doing. You're really hurting them and doing them a disservice. All right, man. We're recording. This is good. Up? How you doing?
I'm doing amazing, Ben. How you doing, sir?
Shaking. I'm doing amazing, man. Always good to talk with you. Let's get right into it. We've already been chatting. Let's bring the people in. Welcome. Welcome to Products of Circumstance, everyone. Podcast with Ken, Skeen, and myself, Fenton Joseph. We discuss mental health and mindset matters through the lens of Black men. The show is unscripted, unfiltered, and mostly unedited. We choose our topics randomly. Ken's going to let us know what we're going to talk about in a second. First, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's get right into it. What are we going to talk about today, bro?
Today's topic, I almost switched it to.
Yeah,
just based on the conversation we were just having.
I feel you.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do that. I'm going to switch it because it's supposed to be just off the rip anyway.
Let's go.
Topic of the day that was written down. Forget that one.
Okay, hold it for next week.
Hold it for next week. Topic of the day will be, if you're in this part of your life, mm-hmm. raising children.
Juicy.
Raising children.
All the people with kids.
All the people with kids out there, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you may be biological, it could be adopted, it could be, but that's your child. You're the one raising them. Mm-hmm. That's your child, right? Mm-hmm. You are the parent of a young mind that you are, doing your best, hopefully, to groom and make sure they're
not corrupt.
They're not corrupt, and treat others very kindly. Yes. But no, so myself, I'm a parent of 4 and a puppy. I know my wife likes to say, well, you have 4 sons. I'm like, I have 3 sons and a dog. This is not my son. No offense if I triggered any dog people out there, calm down, all right? Because like I tell my wife, the house is on fire. I have 1 kid or the dog to save. I'm saving my kid. All right. Trigger a couple people. Anyway,
okay.
Yeah, so I have a girl, 3 boys. My daughter's the oldest one, and 3 younger ones. They're all amazing human beings with 4 different personalities.
Right.
And it's great when you have a 15-year-old, a 13, a 7, and a 3 months.
Yeah.
And the older ones, forget the young ones for a sec. The 2 older ones, when you think you've got them figured out, even the 7-year-old. When you think you've got them figured out, right? They change.
When you zig, they zag.
You zig, they zag. Oh, you got it. All right, good. That's the personality. All right, got it. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. Gucci. Nah. Life throws you the curveball. And you got to restart all over again. But look, I'm definitely having fun. I know my wife and I. What, the curveballs?
Yeah, teach me. Because my daughter is little and I want to know what to expect.
You don't know what to expect. Anyone writing those books, please stop. No 2 children are the same. If you have more than 1 child, you know this yourself. But you have the curveballs of life when it comes to school, when it comes to their friends, when it comes to just us growing up. So I'm 42, right? I'm a 1980 baby. I'll be 43 this year. Our generation, including Fenton, we grew up with no technology at one point, right? Cell phones were for doctors, lawyers, and drug dealers. People weren't just walking around with cell phones. Beepers, like, who's beeping you? Like, stop it. There's pay phones. I know some of the audience, younger audience, might not understand what a pay phone is. When someone pays you or texted you or whatever it may be, you went to a pay phone, dropped a quarter and called them back, whatever. But we didn't grow up with technology at one point of our lives. And then technology got introduced, right? So even like smartphones were introduced, and even when it came to computers, the first thing was like AOL. People got the free CDs. And had the AOL chat rooms. That's what the internet was to us when they first got introduced. You know what I'm saying? But now you have children. So my children are growing up with cell phones. I have, 2 of my 4 children, the older ones, have cell phones. I didn't have my first cell phone until I bought it for myself when I was 17 or 18 years old. They had cell phones when they were like, for the past, I guess, 2-3 years now. They've had cell phones.
Wow.
So it's a different aspect of how we're growing up as kids. Me growing up, I was outside until the street lights came on. I was on but people over the house because how many bikes were out front.
Yeah.
My kids are on the couch chatting with their friends playing Roblox or whatever it is. I sound so old right now.
I didn't say it.
Oh man. But look, you get the curveballs, right? Hopefully everything is fine with them when they leave that house, but you try to teach them the best you can. Hopefully you're teaching your children to be kind to others, to go for their goals, to be positive throughout the day. But it's easier said than done. It really is. Because once they leave your home and once they leave your bubble, right, your circle, they have the outside influences also.
Yeah.
And I'm not the parent that's sitting here saying, well, social media and that darn rap music, and stop blaming everything else for 1 second. You have outside influence, you have your influence, and your children are brighter than you think. Yeah. And they're just putting this whole mixture of stew together to try to figure out their own path.
That's a fact.
But raising them and just remember this, it goes quick. If you have one child and it's a newborn, she is a newborn, it goes by very, very quickly. When you bring them home and they're like, that few days old, 1 week old, whatever it may be, and all of a sudden time flies by and all of a sudden you have a 1-year-old. That's how fast it goes. So try to cherish every moment you have with them. I know I do. I work a lot. I do. I have different things. Fenton and I have the podcast. I have a side thing going on that I'm still putting together. We have the woodworking company. I have my day job as a sales manager. But I cherish the time I have with my family, especially my children. I make sure I hug them and kiss them and tell them I love them and let them know they can talk to me about anything. So I'm happy we have that open relationship. Yeah. I'm not telling you how to parent your children. I'm telling you how I parent my children. And we really try to keep an open relationship because there's some days that they're going through it. And if you don't want to listen to them when they're going through their stresses because you think it's, well, you don't have to pay bills or, you live free under this house or you don't put food on this table, they're not going to talk to you when they get older.
Right.
So remember to listen to what they have to say. Remember to ask them how their day was. Remember to really try to understand them from their point of view for a sec, because that's important to them. And as they get older, if they see that you weren't there to listen to their important things growing up, they're not going to tell you what's bothering them as they get older. So without hitting too many buttons, you got to pay attention to your children. Even the 7-year-old, he wants to show me the same thing over and over. Dad, look at this. He's speaking to Nissan Skylines. Look at this one. Look at this one. This is a yellow one. This is a blue one. I will sit there and like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I really give him my time. Because then when he turns 15, he knows that I always was there to listen to him. Yeah. So I've noticed that with the 2 older ones, they're able to come to my wife and I and actually talk to us about their problems because we always were there to listen to them when what they thought was important, that their Lego didn't fit into the into whatever, we saw it as important. So because of that, we kept an open line of communication.
You said that before. I don't know if it was on the show or just in talking to me, but about Mason and the dinosaur. It's like, yeah, I see the dinosaur. Yeah, it's the same dinosaur. Yeah, no, I get it. I see it. And you said it again just now about like it's important to them. I don't know why I get choked up when I think about this stuff. It's kind of weird, but their little world is big to them. Mm-hmm. And you're so right. You need to acknowledge that it's big to them and it needs to be big to you as well. We get caught up in our world and, we're trying to get work done and we got to cook and we got to do this and clean and do all these things. And their world that they try to bring to us almost becomes like a bother, like a nuisance. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, no, that's great. I get it. But I'm doing something. I'm busy. And that's got to be crushing to someone who's trying to share their world with you. Imagine like, you like somebody and you just want to share your world with them. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm cool on that. You stay over there with your little, weird hobbies and stuff, but a person who embraces it and is like, oh, you're really into this. You're really into that. Oh, I like that. Tell me more about that. Like that. Like I'm thinking like romantically, like that's when you know that you found somebody who's like into you. You know what I'm saying? Like they show interest in you. And that makes you open up to them more and creates that intimacy and trust. Like I can share stuff with you. I can share my thoughts with you. I can share my interests with you. I can share my fears with you. Like it's the same thing with our kids. They want to share their hopes, dreams, fears, aspirations, every little detail with you. And you push it aside. Well, why would you expect them to come back later? You're teaching them that you're not interested in creating that intimacy with them. Mm-hmm. And that is something I really try to focus on with my daughter. And I will forever be grateful to God and to my wife for being able to be home during the day, to have the opportunity to do that with her. And I'll say this publicly, it is my hope and dream and vision and like with everything in me to get to a place one day in my entrepreneurial efforts where my wife doesn't have to work and soon so that she could be home and that she can catch up on that time, because she goes to work every day. And, we just want to be there. We just want to be there to share in those moments because you're so right. It goes by so quick. This kid is 4.5 years old, man. A couple more months, she'll be 5. It's like, what are you talking about? Like my little baby, and now I try to pick her up and it's like her feet are almost touching the ground while I'm holding her. She was standing next to her mother last night and I looked at her and I was like, man, she's like up to her chest. She's like 4.5. I mean, our kid is particularly tall, but just to see that she's not a little bit and to see how she grows every day, it's both super joyful and also super sad. Mm-hmm. It's like your heart is overflowing with joy and also being crushed at the same time as you begin to, not begin to, but as you like continuously mourn who they were yesterday. Because that's gone. Every day, who they were yesterday is now gone. And they're another person. Like you said, they keep changing. And that's the biggest mind trip that I think no one prepares you for in parenthood is like, you're going to you're going to love who they are today and miss who they were yesterday at the same time and have to reconcile that in your brain so that you can still be present to enjoy who they are today while being nostalgic about. Yes, all we do is flip through our phones and look at pictures and videos while we're taking new pictures and video. Sometimes I wish the phones weren't present. I love the fact that in 2023, we're raising a kid who I literally have pictures of her from the day that she was born. I was in the delivery room. I have pictures there of her holding my little hand, my hand. And I took pictures with her today as we were going to school, and it's all documented. Also, I don't know, I kind of feel like for me that process of documenting everything also does take away from being super present in the moment. I'm not in a lot of pictures because I'm always taking pictures. I don't know. It's a lot at once that nobody really tells you about.
No, you're not prepared for it.
No.
But
how do you do it?
How do I deal with what? Which part of it?
All the emotions about, my eldest is now my, 15, she was just 5, but I'm so happy seeing, who she's becoming today, but man, I miss my little baby. And you've got that times 3, well, 4 now.
I don't know. It's cool seeing the different stages. That's the one thing about having, I guess, the big family. So I have the 15 about to be 16, the 13 about to be 14, the 7 about to be 8, and then the 3-month-old. So it's cool seeing the stages, and you think you're ready because you've done it before. No. No, absolutely not. I love that. Like, oh, well, you've done it before. You got the older one. Blah. No. 4 different personalities. How do I deal with knowing that, like you said, well documented, right? So things are well documented on our phone. I have I have videos of my daughter when she was, born in a hospital to dancing when she was like 3 years old, like, with mitts on in the house and dancing to some song from one of those shows on Noggin or whatever it may be. Parents will understand that. Till now, she has like her own YouTube channel and creates shorts with her dolls.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've seen them. They're very good.
Thank you. Well, thank her. So to see the evolution is really cool that I don't have time really to think too much about how she was. I'm staying in the present, especially a lot more in the past few years. I've learned to stay in the present. I used to be the person that took, let me document. There are times when I'm with them, let's say at the beach or on vacation or just in the house, and I'll pick up my phone and document. And I say, you know what? This one's for me. And I don't really post too much about my kids on social media. That's for me. When I do post something, it was like a special moment. I'm like, you know what? I like this one. You can see the back of their head.
Right.
But I've taught myself not to document so much and just be in the moment, because if we didn't have these phones or this technology, you wouldn't be documenting as much anyway. So, and I think more people did live in the present when we weren't able to video and take pictures of every single thing. Not that we didn't have camcorders, but those things used to weigh a brick. So
right. You was walking around,
and they were like $1,000 back in the day.
Shoulder.
You know what I'm saying? So I do really stop myself and stay in the present while the moment's going on, and you can remember it. And if you don't, something else is going to happen anyway.
That's a good point. Right. You're not necessarily going to you'll remember. Oh, remember this thing? Like I think photos are great for jogging our memories. Like you look at it and you're like, oh, remember that? And you can reminisce for a few minutes and share that. And that's beautiful. But we also have plenty of memories, especially from our childhood, right? We didn't have cell phones. We remember the stuff like it was yesterday. And what do? We talk about it.
Right.
We share the stories. We grew up dinner time. So in our household growing up, we all ate dinner together, and my dad in particular would tell stories about growing up in Trinidad and Tobago and I mean, that was just the best, right? Like, you loved hearing all these crazy stories about his life. And my mother as well, you know, because Trinidad was Trinidad in the 50s, and it was a completely different thing. You know, people was sleeping on, you know, in burlap sacks, you know, outhouses, and, you know, walking a mile to go get water and things like that. And we had just as much vivid, you know, the way that they would describe it, it was like reading a book. You could picture it in your head because the way they described it was so vivid and detailed. And I still have images in my head of what I think their lives looked like,
right,
based on the stories that they told me when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I've been to the home where they, you know, the homes where they grew up and things like that, and it doesn't look anything like what I thought it would. But I have the images in my head. So it's like, you're right. You can be present. You will remember. And so much more is going to happen that you can, you know, think about. I have a question. Do you have any like family, you know, we're young still, but do you have any like family traditions, you know, that y'all have started that are like, you know, for the kids' sake, or even just things that you do on a daily with your kids that are like important?
Traditions for us pre-COVID, which we're going to start doing again. We used to take the kids at least twice a year to museums in the city. When I say city, I mean Manhattan. To people listening and not from New York. Yeah, we would take them, you know, to natural history or American history or the MoMA.
Awesome.
We would do that twice a year in the summertime. Another family tradition we have is, you know, our yearly vacation back home. We'll, you know, go visit Belize.
That's nice.
In the mornings, I make the breakfast for Mason. The two older ones do their own thing now. But when they were growing up, I would, as much as I could with all the hours I work, try to make sure the breakfast is on the table before I leave the house.
Right.
Eating it as a family, we can't do every night. I wish we could do it more. But again, I'm in sales. I'm in car sales.
Right.
So I don't get home sometimes until 9, 10 o'clock, and they're going to bed or in bed. But we try to eat together as much as possible, especially if, like, on a Sunday. One tradition we had, again, pre-COVID, a lot of things are pre-COVID. We'd be with my mother-in-law, you know, she would cook. We'd go over on a Sunday or at least 2 Sundays in a month, and everyone hangs out together. Everyone eats, breaks bread. Things like that.
That's cool. So, God, no, I'll leave.
No, I was about to ask you, what is some of your traditions you have?
I don't know. I thought it was just a good question to ask you. What I guess, so one of the things I'm pretty, how do I say this? Growing up, my family was very like all over the place, like very disconnected. We, you know, I grew up one of 4 boys, and we didn't see a lot of our cousins and things like that. So with my daughter, one of the things that's really important to me is that she's around family. So on Sundays, you know, we go to church with her, my brother and sister-in-law. So they've got kids, so she gets to see her cousins. Her godparents are there. Her grandmother's there. My mother-in-law comes over on Sunday. You know, she comes home with us after church. We spend the evening together. We have dinner. We might go out and eat, but she gets to be with her Nana on Sundays. And that's a big deal, because I'm somebody who did not grow up with my grandparents. And, you know, I didn't realize for a long time until I was an adult, like much older, like probably like literally a couple years ago, how much of a void that was in my life. Not having grandparents. I mean, my mother's parents died a long time ago. I did not know them. I don't think I ever even met them. Definitely not my grandfather. No, I never met them, period. My father's father, we knew him, but he had Alzheimer's for a really long time. And so he didn't know who he was. You know, he came out of the house, he's out of it. And then he passed away in like 2004. So almost 20 years ago. My father's mother, we didn't really know who she was. And she passed away when we were very young. I remember the way I remember it is we found out at the funeral. I remember like, Dad, who is this lady? He was like, that's my mom. It's like, oh, word. Like, I didn't know that. So yeah, the family thing was very disconnected. So I really like to make sure that she gets to spend time with family. And because it's, mostly my wife's family, really, on her side, it's important for me. It's good for me in a way that I didn't realize, because I have now new family, right? That I get to spend time. I did not get to do that growing up.
Wow.
So I feel like part of this family, I'm sorry, I am part of a family now, and I really enjoy that. And I love seeing my daughter partake in that as well. I think it's a great experience for both of us. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Right.
My wife's family is huge, beautiful, large family, and I love it. And I'm like, yo, don't ever take that for granted, because kids need to be around family. They need that community. It really does take a community, to raise a kid. And
absolutely.
I know that, just, being able to, not just for like date nights and stuff like that, but different perspectives. The world is big, and your family to the kid is this, it's a microcosm. It's a small reflection or representation of the world. And you have your family members with different personalities, and, crazy uncle and this, and the cool cousin and this one and that one. And, getting to understand dynamics between family members, and, how to deal with different personalities and things like that. Like, I didn't really get that as a kid because it was just the six of us.
Right.
So for my daughter to have, like, that's really, really important to me. She said the other day, we were driving to school. She's like, I want to go on a play date with my cousins. I want to stop by their house. And just like, okay, we'll make that happen. So I think in general, I really try to make sure that my kid gets to experience those family things that I didn't get to experience as much. Mm-hmm. And also, I just try to, like, I don't know, maybe because she's a girl, I try to, like, I really treat her like a princess. I really do. I do the daddy-daughter date thing.
That's cool.
A lot.
That's cool.
A lot. Because I'm here. I'm home.
Right.
It's Thursday. I'm here. I'm not going to work. Right? I look at my calendar. I'm like, okay, what do I have to do today? Sometimes she's like, Daddy, I really want to go to the city. I look at my calendar. I'm like, all right, I don't have any meetings. I got something to deadline for tomorrow. I'll stay up late. Let's go to the city. Daddy, I want to go to a restaurant. Let's go. If I have it in my schedule, I will do it, because I'm not going to get to enjoy these years again. And I know that she sees this, and it's a big deal to her. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I tell you, you definitely played a part in that, for sure. Like the kids' world, it's real to them, and it's a big deal to them. And so I try to make everything a big deal. And
you do a good job at it, by the way.
Thanks, man.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks. I really am trying. I don't want to miss it. I want to enjoy it, because I know it'll be gone.
It won't be gone. It just changes.
Right.
It's not gone. It changes, but it's not gone.
I said to her today, I bought some sneakers yesterday. She came with me, and she wanted to buy some sneakers. And I was like, I'm not buying these sneakers. It's like $85. Like, your foot's going to be twice as big next week. It's like, I might as well burn the money. So she said today to her mother, while her mother was present, she said, Daddy, did you not, what is something about that you didn't want to buy me the shoes? How come you didn't want to buy me the shoes? And I said, well, baby, here's the thing. I said, your feet are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the shoe stays the same size. So I don't want to buy you a shoe that's going to not fit you a week from now. I said, when you get bigger, I will buy you all the shoes you want when your foot starts to stay the same size. And my wife said, she's going to remember that. And I said, I know she will. And I mean it. I mean it. I will. And that's the thing. They do remember these things.
Oh, they remember.
Right? So, and I want to hear your side of that, since you have much older kids. The fact that she does remember, I acknowledge that, and I appreciate it. And so it holds me accountable. You know, if I say I'm going to do something, like, I know she's going to remember. Mm-hmm. And I know if I fail on that promise or fail to keep that promise, that's going to have an impact on her. So it really keeps me, you know, an honest man. And, you know, also gives us things to look forward to. Because I don't make promises to her that I can't keep. I don't say I'm going to do something, you know, or we're going to do something if I know that we're not going to be able to do it. Which is the other thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I was agreeing.
Keep it real with them. They can handle it. Because just yesterday, she was crying about something. I said, I wanted her to do something. And I said, no. I said, baby, here's the reason why such and such. I said, and I said, you know what? You know that we don't do this in this household. I said, but we do this. So let's focus on that. The tears go away. She's happy. 2 seconds later, she's good. You need to, if you're a parent, and then I'm gonna be quiet. If you're a parent, don't tell your kids things to protect them. You're not protecting your kids. You're protecting you. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're protecting yourself from the shame or the guilt of making your kid feel bad or cry. You're not making them feel bad or cry. You're sharing a reality with them, and their reaction to it is to cry or to feel sad. But you're doing a disservice to them when you sugarcoat and you hide things from them. It's really placating your own ego. It's not placating them. They gonna figure this stuff out, and they gonna have to figure out how to deal, you know, with not having their way and all these other things. You should be the one to teach them that. They're so much more resilient and stronger than you think that they are. And I'm learning that with my own daughter. It always works out best when I'm just like, hey, here's what the deal is. And she's like, all right, cool. I get it. I can move on. And it's like, oh, well, that was actually pretty easy. You may cry a little bit, but it's done. Mm-hmm. When you lie to them, it's effectively what you're doing. You're really hurting them and doing them a disservice. That's it. That's all I got.
Nah, that's perfect wrap up, actually.
I know we went a little long, but I think we were both happy to chat this morning, you know, based on our previous conversations. So kids are beautiful. Best things ever to happen. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a part 2 on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, at some point. All right, everyone, please like, subscribe, and please, you know what, man? If you have kids, if you don't have kids, I don't usually mention this, but like hop in the comment section, you know, and share something about, you know, let's say 10 seconds. Sharing your story is one of the most impactful things that you can do, because you don't know who needs to hear that they're not the only ones going through something. Mm-hmm. And I have a text message sitting in my phone right now this morning that I got that is proof of that. Somebody went through something very serious, and they said, Fenton, it was so good to know that we're not the only ones who are going through that. So be vulnerable, share your story with people, hop in the comment section and, you know, talk about, you know, your experience with kids or whatever the case is, whatever the topic is that we're talking about that day. It's a community. We want this to be a place where people can come, not just hear us rant about our lives, but to, you know, but to create a community where we can share and feel comfortable being like, thank you. I needed to hear that because I'm going through this. We'll respond. We're in the comments. We'll respond.
Right.
That's it.
Very
y'all.
nice. That's it.
All right. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Peace.